solve the system and write the solution as a vector. This is A and this is B. So A1 is this column, A2 is this column, A3 is this column, okay? And B would be this one. So put these two together as one format. Next, we want to, if you look carefully, this is a 1, so we leave it alone. This is a 0, so we leave this alone. So row 1 and row 3, we will leave it alone because this is a 1 and this is a 0. So the one we need to change first will be this -3. We need this -3 to become a 0. One more time. This is a 1, we leave row 1 alone. This is a 0, we leave row 3 alone. We want to change this -3 into a 0. So the opposite of -3 would be +3. So 3 times R1 plus R2. So 3 times 1 is +3. Subtract 3 gives me 0. 3 times 2 gives me 6. 6 subtract 1, 5. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2, 5. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 1, 1. Okay? Next, if you look at this, we can make this become a 1 and also this become a 1. So change this 5 and this other 5 become a 1, which I have down here. So to make it a 1, we need to do the reciprocal of 5, which is 1/5. So 1/5 R2, 1/5 R3. Okay? So 1/5 times 5 gives me this 1. 1/5 times this 5 gives me 1. 1/5 times 1 gives me 1/5. One more time. 1/5 times 5 gives me 1. 1/5 times 5 gives me 1. 1/5 times 1 gives me this 1/5. So for R3, same thing. The reciprocal of 5, which will be 1/5 times R3. So 1/5 times 5 gives me 1. 1/5 times 3 gives me 3/5. 1/5 times -1 gives me -1/5. One more time. 1/5 times 5 gives me 1. 1/5 times 3 gives me 3/5. 1/5 times -1 gives me -1/5. Okay? Next, we need this spot to be a 0. This right here. We need this to be a 0. Okay? So row 1, rewrite it. Row 2, rewrite it. We need this spot to become a 0. So the opposite of +1 will be -1. So -1 times row 2 plus row 3. Okay? So -1 times 1 will be -1 plus 1 gives me 0. One more time. -1 times 1 is -1 plus 1 gives me 0. -1 times 1 is -1. -1 plus 3/5 will be -2/5. Okay? So -1 times 1 will be -1. -1 plus 3/5 is -2/5. -1 times 1/5 is -1/5 plus another -1/5, which gives me -2/5. One more time. -1 times 1 is -1 plus 1 gives me 0. -1 times 1 is -1 plus 3/5, -2/5. -1 times 1/5 is -1/5 plus another -1/5, which gives me -2/5. Okay? Next, we want this -2/5 become a 1. So -2/5 becomes a 1. So we will multiply the reciprocal of 2/5 as 5/2. But there's a negative, so we need to put another negative in. One more time. We need this to become a +1. So the reciprocal of 2/5 is 5/2. However, there's a negative here, so we need another negative so that it will become positive 1/5. Okay, so it becomes positive 1. So negative times negative is positive. 5 times 2 is 10. 2 times 5 is 10. So 10/10, 1. Okay, so negative is positive. 2/5, reciprocal 2/5 is 5/2, so that I get 1. So negative times negative is positive. This 2 times 5 is 10. This 5 times 2 is also 10. So 10 divided by 10 gives me 1. Okay. Next, negative times negative is also positive. So 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 2 is also 10. 10 divided by 10, which is 1. Okay, so be very careful on that one because it has a fractions. So we have to worry about the reciprocal of that. So one more time, we need this to become a 1. So reciprocal of 2/5 would be 5/2. This is a negative, so I need another negative so that this spot become positive 1. So negative times negative is positive. 2/5 times 5/2 is 10/10. 10/10 is 1. Same thing with this one. Negative times negative is positive. 2/5 times 5/2, which is 10/10, which is 1. Okay. Next, we need this spot, and this spot to be a 0. So again, this, and this to become a 0. So let's take care of these two first so that it could become 0. Okay. So I have, this is positive 1. So opposite should be negative 1. This is positive 1. So opposite should be negative 1. So I have, this is what I have here. So we need to take care of this right here. This and this and this whole part right here needs to be a 0. So this 2, this 1, and this 1 needs to be a 0 so that we will complete. Okay, so opposite of positive 1, negative 1. Opposite of positive 1, negative 1. Okay, so negative 1 times R3 plus row 2, that's what I have here. Negative 1 times R3 plus row 1, which I have here. Okay, so this is positive 1. Okay, and this is positive 1. Opposite, negative 1, which I have here and here. So let's do this one first. Okay, let's do this one. So negative 1 times R3 plus row 2. So here we go. Negative 1 times 1, which is positive. Negative 1 times 1, which is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1, which is this 0. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1/5 gives me negative 1/4. One more time. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus this 1 is 0. Negative 1 times 1, which gives me negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1/5, which is negative 4/5. Okay. Next, let's take care of this row. Since this is positive 1, so it's negative 1. So negative 1 times 1, which gives me negative 1. Negative 1 plus 1 gives me this 0. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus 0, which gives me negative 1. Okay, so now this spot and this spot is 0 and 0. And the last thing, we need to take care of this 2 right here so that this 2 could be a 0. This 2 right here could be 0. So now opposite of 2 will be negative 2, which I have here. So negative 2 times row 2 plus row 1. Okay, so negative 2 times 1 gives me negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 gives me this 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is this 0. Negative 2 times this right here. Okay, so negative 2 times negative 4, okay, which gives me negative 8/5. Okay, and then negative 2 times negative 4, negative 2 times this negative 4 gives me positive 8, so 8/5. Subtract 1 gives me 3/5. One more time. Negative 2 times 1 gives me negative 2. Negative 2 plus 2 gives me this 0. Negative 2 times 0 is 0. 0 plus 0 is this 0. Negative 2 times negative 4 gives me positive 8. So it is 8/5. Subtract 1 gives me positive 3/5. Okay, so now we are completely done because this right here is 0. This right here is also 0. All I have left is 1, 1, 1. And we are done. So again, 1 is 3/5, 1, negative 4/5, and then 1, 1. So our solution, if you can write it like this, x is equal to variable 1, variable 2, variable 3. So variable 1 is 3/5, variable 2, which is negative 4/5, variable 3, which is positive 1. So this right here is the solutions to our problem in the beginning, okay, which is this right here. So this is our problem in the beginning, and our solutions would be this right here.